All right, guys. First week back from vacation in the books, and we're going to do the watch list for Monday, June 19th. Real quick, I'm going to bust through some highlights from the week from our chat room just to show you some of the entry calls made in our room. And what I'm proud of and what I hope you'll notice is that these entries were timed. You hear us talk about inflection points all the time. These entries were timed such that if you took it at the trade idea, which is always put out ahead of time before the trigger, okay, not after I buy it, not after Wayne buys it or whoever else calls it, put out ahead of time. What I'm proud of is that these all, if you'll notice, you did not really come back to the entry. They may have visited, but I don't think any of these in this video from the week, any of these highlights came back and even touched the entry price. And they all had really nice gains. And this first one was MYO, the entry right there over 11. It ended up going through 18 without ever coming back to 11. Really, really nice call by Wayne. SYY was one of those bottom feeder plays. It had intraday shape down into the 200 on the daily, the 200 simple moving average on the daily. And I called this just as a 1 minute buy setup, which ended up being an entry at 52.72. So the arrow is kind of a guess here, but and the stop was only, I think, 14 cents below, and this was on the way back up. Never came back to the stop. I don't think it ever came back to the entry either, so my arrows probably should be a little bit lower. But anyway, 52.72 call, and you can see what closed very strong, over 54 bucks from there. That was a highlight that I called. EPZM, I believe, was another call by Wayne, our other moderator in the room. Same thing, right? The entry never came back and revisited the entry price, and really nice gain from 13.21. It hit 14.50 that day without revisiting the entry. Again, the call is put out ahead of time. ADMP was my call after coming out of the halt. Called this one long at 480. Never came back to 480, and you can see what it did. Went up to almost 6 and then gapped up the next morning. That one was a big mover for us. MOSY should be the next one. There was the entry right there. That was my call idea at 183 with a stop, I think, 175. And it broke 183, flagged for a little bit, and then ripped to 224. A nice 21% move that day. OMER, another one by Wayne, over 20 bucks there. Once it broke 20, never came back to the $20 area. Ended up going up to almost 22.50 that day. And another call in MOSY by Wayne at, I believe that was 176 in the opening 5 minutes, and you can see what it did. Went all the way up over 250. Went actually, I think it went to 270 that day. 94 cents per share above Wayne's entry call by the time it was done going up on 10 cents risk. 53% move. So very, very nice week to come back to. And one last screenshot to show you, and I'm going to get into the watch list. And this is I'm updating this every night in my watch list video. I decided to just, this is the way I'm going to let people keep track of my trading, because I don't want to get into, look how much money I made today, because the people that do that, oh, I made $5,000 today. The people that do that, in my opinion, are trying to coerce young newbie traders into, ooh, I want to make that much too. And trading isn't easy. You have to learn a method. And so I'm actually much more proud of it. And if you had any trading experience at all, you know that a steady equity curve is way more important than a big gain here or there. All right. And then you also have, from a lot of these guys, big losses as well. You don't want wild swings in your equity curve. In my opinion, you should be learning from someone that has put forth an equity curve like this. All right. And I do it by putting to work everything that we teach in our course, and I just do it day in, day out, over and over. And I'm really proud of that. So every day I'm going to update my equity curve. So one day, if it's got a nasty push down here at the end in the video, you'll see that, and you'll know that, ooh, I lost some money that day, and I'll certainly share it. Not one red day this week, and my equity curve reflects that. It was a nice week. All right, so let's go into the watch list for Monday. The SPY, a few days lower, right into the 20-day. Nothing scary. It's a steady kind of healthy march higher. So it's so far the chart's acting fine. So we just go ahead and build our watch list and start looking for stuff to trade. Now CLSN is a little bit weird. Just a beaten up daily chart, and then gaps up on Friday. Let's look at the intraday. So you can see the gap up. It sold off. I was really surprised to see this come and take out the highs. but it did it, and then it came back and tailed off, and then at the end of the day, it gets this big push, and that big push is just enough for me to say, you know what, I am going to watch this one on Monday. Maybe it catches a bid, so we'll see. I mean, the daily chart just looks weird to me, but because of that late day push, I'm going to watch it. ADMP, again, huge move. You saw the gap play, well, the intraday gap, if you will, because it was halted, that I called at 480 that day, all right? And well, then it gaps up on Friday and then sells off all day. Big volume. You know, a partial retrace of the move, it doesn't bother me. I'm definitely going to watch this one for a turn back higher one day this week. HOS, very strong day. Some folks were on this in chat on Friday. I never did trade this one, but it was a nice gap play. And you got a nice volume spike. And, you know, it closed well off its highs, but it also closed above its open. Let's look for a follow-through day on that one. Or maybe, you know, someday this week, if not Monday. CO, very strong move on Friday, up near recent highs. We'll see if there's going to be a continuation day there. It feels a little bit like chasing because it had such a big candle on Friday. But we'll see. It goes on watch. Pandora, letter P, just another red day. At some point, you'd have to expect this thing to bounce. There is the weekly chart. So that's basically its all-time chart right there. You might look at that and say, ooh, nasty, huge head and shoulders. And, you know, and it is kind of forming that. Having said that, you did have a low back here of 710. Let's see what this low was. 708. So let me see what this one was. This might be, yeah, if I'm not mistaken, we might be at all-time lows, which I did not realize. It doesn't bother me making the video. I didn't realize that, but looks like Pandora might be at all-time lows. Again, just overdue for a snapback bounce. I'm a day trader, so we'll see if it gives me a setup, right? I'm just looking for a trade. TROV. This one gapped up about a week ago, came back and kind of held the 20-day. Let's look at it on 15s here. Nothing too compelling. I said going into Friday I liked it over $1, and then it kind of just did nothing all day Friday. I still kind of like it over $1. I think maybe if it gets to $1, it could come up and revisit that $1.20. And it's just kind of tailing along here, so we'll see. Not in love with it, but we'll watch it. WKHS. I like this chart a lot. I said on Friday, I was tweeting that, hey, this looks good on all time frames when it looked like this, right? I got long. I called this long in chat at 393, looking for a high of day break because I knew that daily chart looked beautiful over 4. And so I made some money on it, but if this wasn't in the last 30 minutes on Friday, I would have been in it bigger and I would have tried to hold longer. But, you know, going into the weekend, I'm not holding it. I'm not holding anything. Don't even hold my wife overnight, all right? So we'll see. But I do like this over 410 now. The daily chart, you had this big pop back here, then a lower high, and it's just been kind of tailing along under $4, and nice volume for this stock that took it back above 4. So if this can hold above 4, looks interesting over 410 on Monday. CCIH had this big 2-day run, a secondary pop there, and now it's just kind of holding support at the 20-day. A little bit of extra volume on Friday, and look what happens when you go to intraday. Huge volume. I don't know what sparked this. I never did find out, but 433,000 shares in 5 minutes. Right? And so it's interesting over 138 to me on Monday. As a matter of fact, I'm going to put 139 in my notes as a potential catalyst. And then last, I've got Starbucks, SBUX, which is holding, you know, it peaked below $60 here, excuse me, and again here, but a couple green candles, 2 days in a row, closed above its open. Potential long move in Starbucks this week, so let's keep our eyes on that. And we'll add some gappers on Monday morning as well. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and happy Father's Day to all you dads out there, and we'll see everybody on Monday.